Alright guys, so up till now we were discussing that when we are having two fact tables, then how exactly we can build this data model. But what if there is a situation wherein we are having more than two fact tables? So in that particular situation, what exactly we can do, right? I mean, in this particular case, we just went forward with this specific layout itself. We were not exactly looking into this specific option, that is a plus option, right? And if you'll just hover over here, you'll get to see that there is a pop-up that you'll get to see, which is showing as new layout. But what exactly is this layout? So we will be looking into this. So first of all, let us look into this thing, that what exactly do we mean by a model layout. So model layout will be helping you out in looking forward to a specific portion of your complete model layout. So this arrangement that you can see on the screen is a layout itself, right? All of these tables which are being connected with respect to each other is basically a kind of layout itself. But we are not focusing upon a specific portion of this model, right? Like what if I'm interested in looking forward to the connection with respect to the sales data table only. In a similar way, if I'm interested in looking forward to the connection of the returns data table only. As in our previous videos only, we have seen that it was a bit difficult for us to keep all of these tables onto the same portion of the screen itself, just because we are not able to figure out that from which specific direction, or from how exactly the first table is connected with respect to each other, and we were not exactly able to get the idea about the direction in which the filter flow is there, right? That's because as soon as you're going to add more and more number of tables, these relationships will be starting these relationships will be becoming more critical to get to know, right? Like you will be facing a lot of issues in order to get the idea about that which specific direction the flow is there. That's because so many number of lines in this same window you can see over here, right? And that is one of the major reason why we exactly came out with this model layout option, wherein via making the use of this model layout option, we will be able to focus upon a specific portion of the overall table itself. So for example, if I'm interested in looking forward to the portion which is displaying the relationship of this sales data table itself, then what exactly I can do is that I can simply go forward with this plus option. And now in your data option, you'll get to see that you're having this tables over here. Just because we are interested in looking forward to the layout of our first fact table, that is a sales data table. So I will be just dragging it and dropping it. All right. And now if I'm just bringing in some another dimension table over here, then you'll get to see that this relationship is preserved, right? Whatever columns we have hide from our side in the previous videos, you can see that those columns are still hidden in this specific layout as well. In a similar way, whatever relationship we had among the dimension tables in the previous videos or in the previous layout, that relationship is also preserved. And that's what happens in the case of model layout. So in the model layout, as soon as you're going to create more and more number of layout, you'll get to see that the relationship is going to be preserved with respect to the previous table itself. Along with that, whatever changes you are going to make in the previous layouts, that will also be reserved, right? So for example, if I'm just unhiding this customer key in this specific layout, then if I'm just coming back to my original layout, then you'll get to see that the customer key in this specific layout is also now being unhidden, right? So that's exactly how it works. So no copies are being created, but you can see a kind of better picture in which how exactly your each and every single fact table is connected with respect to the rest of the tables, right? So usually we go forward with this thing when you are having more and more number of tables getting connected with respect to each other, so that we won't be facing the issue in looking forward to these multiple relationships, right? As we don't want that so many number of relationships should be shown on the same screen itself, and then we won't be able to figure out that what exactly is the flow of filter as well, right? And that is one of the major reason why we always used to go forward with these layouts. Now, one more thing, I can show it to you over here. So first of all, let me just remove this relationship. We can delete it, or we can simply delete. So yeah, while deleting this from the model, one thing you have to focus upon that as most of the people used to make the same error, and that is they used to go forward with this delete from model option. So for example, if you want to remove this specific customer lookout from your this second specific layout, so you are having two options over here, right? Like either you can go forward with this option that is a delete from model option, or you can go forward with this option that is remove from diagram. So you won't be making the use of this option that is delete from model, as if you're going to click on this option that is delete from model, then this specific table will be getting removed directly, or it will be getting deleted from all of the layouts that you are having. So from the previous layout as well, you won't be able to see that you ever had this customer lookout. And then you again have to go forward with the data extraction. You have to bring in the changes in the Power Query editor, and then you have to assign your customer key as the primary key. So that's why you shouldn't be making the use of this option that is delete from model. Irrespective of that, you should make the use of this option that is remove from diagram. So you are having this option remove from diagram, which will be helping you out to directly remove this specific table from this specific diagram. So this remove from diagram option won't be making any changes back in the previous layout, right? So that's why we will be going forward with this option that is remove from diagram. And now you can see that over here in our all tables, we are not exactly able to see any changes with respect to our customer lookup table and our sales data table. Now, just because I want to look forward to that what all relationships I'm having with respect to my first fact table. So I can just right click over here. On the screen itself, you can just right click and you'll get to see that there is an option, and that option is add related tables. So if I'm just clicking over here, you'll get to see that whatever relationship we had, right? Whatever relationship we had in the previous layout itself with respect to the first fact table, that relationship you can see over here. And now in this specific layout, it will be a bit easy for you to get to know that how exactly a star schema looks like. You can just drag it over here. You can just drag it this specific table over here. Then the customer lookup over here. In a similar way, you can drag your product lookup table over here, right? And now you can see that how exactly a star schema used to look like, right? And now a better picture of the relationship with respect to your first table, you will also be able to see, right? That how exactly a sales data table is connected with respect to which specific dimension tables. Like in the case of returns data, you were able to see that returns data was not exactly having the relationship with respect to customer table. But just because in this specific diagram or in this specific layout, we are having so many relationships over here, so at this point, it is becoming a bit difficult for us to get this idea that whether if the returns data table is connected with respect to customer lookup or not. So that's why again, if I'm going forward with the returns data, I'm dragging it, I'm dropping it over here. And now if I'm just right clicking, I'm adding the related queries. Then in this specific layout, it's a very easy option for us to see that what all relationships we are having first of all. And then with respect to which specific dimension tables the relationship we are having, right? So in this specific layout, it's a bit easy for us to see that with respect to our customer lookup table, our returns data is not exactly having any relationship, right? So that's exactly how this model layout used to work, so that you can get a kind of better picture of each and every single fact table relationship, and you won't be able to see, you will be able to get the idea about all the relationship among the table as well, right? And this won't be creating any copies, and whatever changes you are going to make in this layout, you will be able to see those changes in the previous layout as well. So again, it will be a bit useful for you, right? To get to know that how exactly your overall model structure is there. And that is exactly how these model layouts used to work. You can even rename it. You can just right click over here and you can rename it as returns model. In a similar way, you can just right click over here. You can name it as sales model, right? So in this all tables layout, you'll get to see all of your fact tables which are being connected with respect to your dimension tables. In your sales model layout, you'll get to see all of the relationship that you're having with respect to your first fact table, that is a sales data. And in your returns model layout, you'll get to see all of the relationship you have with respect to your returns data, right? So that's exactly how this model layout used to work. So if tomorrow you're working on a project with respect to multiple fact tables, so you can go forward with this model layout option so that you will get to know that a better picture that with respect to which specific dimension table your fact table is connected with. Right, but just because in our specific scenario we are not exactly having a lot number of fact tables, so that's why we won't be creating these layouts in this specific case. But it's as per your requirement. As soon as you're going to come up with more and more number of fact tables, you can go forward with this option, right? So let me delete this specific layout as well. And now we are back with our original layout itself. And that would be all regarding what exactly do we mean by a model layout. And we will be meeting you in the next video with some more important knowledgeable content. So thank you. All right, guys. So in our previous sessions and in our previous videos, we have been discussing about this thing that what exactly do we mean by a data type, right? So we haven't actually explored these things that are there in Power BI, and that is a data format and a data category. So data type we already know. So all of us who are coming from a tech background, we are already having this knowledge that what exactly do we mean by a data type. As a data type simply specifies this thing that how exactly our data is going to be stored at the backend. Right. So for example, if you are keeping your data type as integer for a specific column, then that means that your data will be stored in the integer format in the backend, right? Or in your Power Query editor, if you are keeping your column data type as integer itself, then you are making sure about this thing that your data will be getting stored in integer format, right? So how exactly your data is being stored, that is something being defined by the data type. But how exactly your data will be displayed on the front end, so that will be decided by your data format, right? So we haven't actually explored about data format in if you're making the use of pandas or if you're making the use of Python, right? Just because in that specific case, we always used to go forward with the data type itself. But in Power BI, we are having this functionality wherein we can simply define the type of the given column such that how exactly we want that specific column to be shown in the front end. And that is something being defined by our data format itself. So whenever you are going to change the format of a specific column, then that specific column will be shown in a different way in the front end. But if the data type of that specific column is something else, then you would be able to see the same column different in your Power Query editor. Just because Power Query editor is at the back end and back end is affected by the data type, and your data format is going to be there at the front end, and the front end is affected by the data format. Right. So that's why we will be now, first of all, going forward with this data format, that how exactly the data format used to work. So let us go into our data view. So now into our calendar lookup table, you can see that we are having these multiple columns, right? Like we are having this date column, year column, but these are not being shown in a kind of short format, like, right? So what if I want this data to be shown into a short format? So at this point, the data is being shown just as per the data type we have assigned in the backend. But this data format or the way in which this specific data is being represented, this can remain same in the backend. But if I want to show it in a different way in the front end, then I can go forward with the data format itself. So what exactly I can do is that I can simply click over here, right? And as soon as I'm going to click over here, you'll get to see that we are having these column tools option, right? So all of these column tools you can see over here, and you are getting this option to define the data category. Along with that, you can define the format as well. Just because at this particular point it is being shown in the long date format as per the data type we have assigned in the backend, but just because we want to show it in a short date format. So that's why I can simply go forward with this first option, that the data format for this specific column should be in a short date format. So now in this specific format itself, your data will be shown in the front end. In a similar way, you can go forward with this start of month and you can change its format as well so that it will be shown in a short date format in the front end again. Similarly, for the start of week as well, just because it is already being shown into the short date format itself. So that's why there is no need to make the changes over here. You can keep the same format to be there for all of the columns to be shown in the front end itself, right? So again, format will be defining that how exactly your data will be shown in the front end. This format won't be affecting that how exactly your data is being stored in your Power Query editor or in your backend, right? And also there is one more thing that you can see over here, and that is data category. So if I'll just go forward with the drop down option of data category, then you can see that we are having so many number of options, right? Like we're having this address option, place option, city option, county option, right? County something else and country something else. So this specific data category is mostly focused upon the data that is there in a URL format or which is concerned about the locations, right? So as you already know that the data type is not exactly there for a location, right? Like for example, if you are storing the location onto a specific column, and just because we can't actually have a kind of proper data type assigned to a location in Python as well or in other tools as well. And just because of that, we can make the use of this data category so that this data category will be defining that how exactly your URL or your multiple locations can be represented in the front end, right? So whenever you are having any of the column which is concerned about the location or which is concerned about representing these web URL, then you can absolutely go forward with this data category option, right? So we will be exploring about this thing as well. Let us go forward with one of our table which is representing us the territory. So now in this specific case itself, you can see that we are having this country column. So now for this country column, we can absolutely go forward with assigning its category, right? So let me click over here. Let me get into my data category. And now, again, you should see this thing that we are having two options. This is county. County is something else from a country, right? So most of the people used to go forward with this specific option itself, but always you should make sure that country is there over here itself. So you should always choose this specific option. So now for the country column, I'm going to assign it a category as country, right? We are done with this. And with respect to the continent as well, you can assign its data category, and that will be regarding the continent. Right, we're done with this as well. And now with respect to region, we can see that if we are having any of the data category. So you can see that we are not exactly having any data category with respect to the region, right? And there is also something that is there as the longitude and latitude. So there are going to be many of the data sets wherein you will be able to see these values. That is a longitude and latitude value. So how exactly this longitude and latitude value will be helping you out? So for example, you are having a column which is representing this longitude and latitude, right? One column is representing longitude and the second column is representing this latitude. So by making the use of these values, that is longitude and latitude, if you are just simply putting these values in your map visual. So in your report view, you are going to have a map visual, right? So you can see that we are having a map visual over here, right? So in your map visual itself, if you are going to put the values as the longitude and latitude, then you will be able to see that specific location in the map itself. Like for example, even if you're putting the value of your longitude and latitude of a shop nearby your home, then still in the map itself, you will be able to see that specific location. A kind of complete pictorial representation will be shown to you by making the use of those longitude and latitude value, right? And that's how great Power BI is. Just by making the use of this longitude and latitude value, you are actually able to see the complete pictorial representation of the places, right? And that's exactly how it used to work. So again, if you're having any of the column which is representing longitude and latitude, you can again go forward with this data category option itself. And now into my model view, if I'm just going over there, you can see that with respect to our territory lookup, we are now having a kind of having a kind of a kind of globe kind of icon that is being associated with respect to the continent and country, right? So that what simply shows that what exactly the category these specific columns are having. So that's how exactly this data category and this data format used to work. So whenever you want to show your data in a different way in the front end, then you can absolutely go forward with this data format and you can go for. And if you're having any column which is representing the web URL or any location, then you can go forward with this data category option, right? And the data format is absolutely going to be different from your data type. Data type will be defining that how your data is being stored in the backend. Data format defines that how your data is being shown in the front end, right? So that would be all regarding the data format and category. And now from the next video onwards, we will be focusing upon that what exactly do we mean by a hierarchy. So you will be able to see some of the hierarchy over here in multiple columns, which we haven't explored up till now. So it is a kind of very basic idea itself that what exactly do we mean by a hierarchy, but that we will be exploring in the next video itself. So that will be all regarding the data format and category, and we will be meeting you in the next video with respect to what exactly do we mean by a data, what exactly do we mean by a hierarchy, right? So that would be all, and thank you. All right, guys. So in this specific video, we are going to discuss about that what exactly do we mean by a hierarchy. So in our matrix visual that we will be making the use of in the report view in our upcoming session. So in that specific videos itself, we will be showing you that how exactly your data is being represented in a form of tree, right? So if you want to get this idea that what exactly do we mean by a hierarchy, so hierarchy you can simply consider it as a kind of tree itself. So tree is going to have a kind of root node, and with respect to it, we are having these multiple other node connected with respect to it. So those of you who are having a knowledge in DSA, so in DSA you might would have already came across this thing that what exactly, how exactly a tree is being represented, right? So just like that, you can consider this hierarchy wherein into a hierarchy, all of the columns which are exhibiting the similar kind of properties. So let us go with a kind of table which is representing the information about the family, right? So family can have a father and a mother. So one column is representing the details of father, one column is representing the details of mother, like the name of father, name of mother. Then there is a specific column which is representing the information of girl child. There is a column which is representing the information of a boy child, right? So this kind of table we are having. But just because, as we know that father, mother, and a boy child and girl child, just because they all belong to a similar family, so that's why we can create a hierarchy which will be including all of these multiple columns, right? So as we know that just because father, mother, and the boy and the girl, just because they can be placed into a single group itself, so that group that you are going to create that will be involving these multiple columns, which are all exhibiting the similar kind of property, that you can call it as a hierarchy. So hierarchy is going to be that specific tree, or it is going to be that specific group that will be helping you out to keep all of the columns which are exhibiting the similar kind of property. Again, an example you can take, like one of the best example we can show you via making the use of this first table itself, that is the territory lookup table. So in this territory lookup table itself, you can see that we are having these multiple columns like country column, continent column we are having. So this country and continent, I can keep it in the same group itself or into a same hierarchy itself, right? So this is again going to be one of the example of hierarchy, that just because inside a continent we are going to have these multiple countries and all are exhibiting the similar property that is regarding a location, so that's why they can be placed into a similar group itself or into a similar hierarchy itself. Just like in our calendar lookup table as well, date, start of month, start of week, year, again all of these columns are exhibiting the similar property, so that's why they can also be placed into a similar group, and that similar group will be referred as a hierarchy. So this group hierarchy, or calling it as a tree itself, is one at the same thing. So we will be coming across this thing that why exactly we are calling a hierarchy as a tree, when I will be showing you that how the data is being represented in our report view, right? So first of all, just have a look upon that how exactly can we create a hierarchy, right? So let me go forward with this data view option, and now in my data view option itself, let me go forward with the first table that we are having, that is a territory lookup. Let me go forward with this, and now we are having these two different columns, right? And now this icon you can see, just because in the last video itself we have changed its data category to its respective data values, right? That's why this icon you can see over here again. And now we will be looking forward to that, how exactly you can create a hierarchy over here. So what exactly you can do is that simply come to this column, right click. By right clicking, you get to see that there is an option that is coming. That option is stating that you can create a hierarchy over here, right? So click on this option, create hierarchy. And now you can see that we are having a new hierarchy over here, which is consisting of this value, right? So now in this new hierarchy, that is continent hierarchy, so you can rename it as well. Like for example, if I want to rename it as my territory hierarchy, so you can rename it, and now this hierarchy or this specific group will now be consisting of all of the columns which are exhibiting the similar property. So into our territory lookup table itself, you can see that we are having one more column which is exhibiting the similar property with respect to a continent, as it is also showing us the country itself, right? And or a location itself. So that's why country we can also put it in the same hierarchy. So same thing you can do. You can just simply right click over here, and now you can get this new option that is add to hierarchy. So whatever different hierarchies you'll get to create, all of those multiple hierarchies you will be able to see over here. But just because up till now we have created only one single hierarchy, that's why only this option you will be able to see. Click over here, and you'll get to see that country will also be added in your territory hierarchy. And now region, just because also it belongs to the similar hierarchy itself, we can add it to the territory hierarchy as well. And one of the great thing about creating these hierarchies is that first of all, you will get to have a kind of tree kind of lookup in your report view. Along with that, Power BI used to treat these hierarchies as a single table itself, I'm sorry, as a single value itself. So you can call it as a single value, or you can call it as a single item, right? So all of these elements that you are going to have into a single hierarchy, that will be treated as a single item by Power BI. So you don't really have to make the use of these multiple columns which are having exhibiting the similar kind of property. As what exactly you can do is that you can simply create a hierarchy for them, and that hierarchy itself you can create with respect to your report view, so that you don't really need to get into this going forward with the multiple columns, and you can simply go forward with a single hierarchy itself, as that will also be exhibiting the similar kind of properties only, which your single columns are representing, right? And let me now show you that what exactly do I mean when I'm saying that a tree kind of structure is being created over here. So let us get back into our report view. Now into a report view, we are having a matrix visual over here as well. And now let us go with this data view. In our data view, in our rows, we can add some values over here. Let us go forward with this territory lookup table, and now you can see that we are having a territory hierarchy itself, right? So what if if I'm showing these territory hierarchies to apply the filter onto our fact data values, then you can see a kind of structure is being created over here, right? This structure that you can see. So how exactly it is being representing a kind of tree structure. So for that, you can see we are having this option over here, right? If I'm clicking on this option, you'll get to see that the continents are now getting converted into the respective countries, right? In a similar way, the countries will now be getting decomposed into the regions, right? So that's how you can get to have these values. Now, just because country, continent, and region were exhibiting the similar kind of property, so that's why you are able to see the values getting related with respect to each other. Why exactly continent was being shown at the first? Just because inside the continent itself, you are going to have these multiple countries, right? So that's why at the first we were able to see the continents, and then when we break it down, we got to see the countries, right? And then from countries, we got to see the region. So now if I want to get back into my previous view, then I can go forward with this. drill up option, again you will be able to see the previous options itself, right? In a similar way, if I want to see a kind of tree kind of architecture, then you can click over here and you can see that what exactly do I mean by a tree kind of architecture. So when you will click over here, you'll get to see that how exactly a tree is being created. In this continent, we are having these multiple countries. In the continent, what all total value we got, and then inside the continents within each and every single country, what exactly the value we are getting. So all of that idea you can get via just going forward with this hierarchy itself. And that what simply means when we say that by a continent, I mean to say that we are basically creating a kind of tree structure, right? So you can do this, or you can also go forward with one of the so again you can see some other option as well, and you can do one more thing over here as well. If you'll just click on this plus option, so by just clicking on the plus option as well, you'll get to see the similar values, how exactly into this continent the multiple countries are associated with it. So again, a tree kind of architecture you are getting, right? So just think that if you might would have been making the use of these multiple visuals, these multiple columns, then you would definitely would have been making the use of definitely you would have been putting a lot of efforts from your side, right? At this point, you're not exactly required to put in that much amount of effort. Directly the continent is getting decomposed into the countries, and then the countries are getting decomposed into these regions, right? So that's how easy uh, the hierarchies make the visual representation, and that's how exactly you can get to have a kind of tree kind of architecture with respect to the columns which are exhibiting the similar properties, right? So that's exactly how you can create a hierarchy, and in the next video we will be giving you an assignment regarding this hierarchy so that you can have a kind of quick hands-on to how exactly create a hierarchy, right? So with that, we will be meeting you in the next video with the hierarchy assignment, and that would be all in this video. So thank you. All right, guys. So here we are with our next assignment regarding the hierarchy. So let us go forward with each and every single key objective. So the first key objective is to create a new hierarchy that will be based upon the start of the year field. So we can name it as a date hierarchy. In the last video itself, we have shown you that how exactly you can go forward with the start of year, how you can extract out these. So in the date, when we were discussing about the date columns itself, you were able to get this idea that what do I mean by this thing when I'm saying that we need to extract out the value that is focusing upon the start of year, start of month, start of week, and the date as well. As from the date itself, you will be able to get these values, that is start of year, start of month, and start of week, right? So you can put all of these values into a similar group itself, and that group here, you will be calling it as a date hierarchy, right? So now once you're done with this, creating this new hierarchy in the first queue objective, now in the second objective, you have to simply right click and you have to drag to add fields until your hierarchy contains these specific columns. So the columns that you have to add, that is going to be the start of year, start of month, start of week, and the date. And then finally, the last key objective will be regarding creating this matrix visual. So you have to add your new hierarchy to your matrix visual on the rows. Again, we have shown you how exactly you can do it. And practically, you can drill up and down between each levels of granularity, right? So we have already shown you these things in the previous video itself, so it won't be a bit difficult for you. You can try these things from your side, and in the next video itself, we will be coming with the solution of these key objectives, right? And that would be all, and we will be meeting you in the next video with the solution of these key objectives. So thank you. All right, guys. So here we are with the solutions of our key objectives. So first of all, let us start with the first key objective that we are having. That is to create a new hierarchy that will be based upon the start of the year field, and we have to name it as the date hierarchy. So why do we have to start with the start of year? Just because we always have to make sure that at the top level of our hierarchy, we are keeping that specific column inside which we can keep our rest of the columns, right? As in the previous videos itself, we were discussing about that how exactly the continent can be placed at the top level of our hierarchy. Just because inside the continent itself, we'll get to see the countries, and then inside that we can see these regions, right? So that's why it's very important to start with a top level as per that specific column inside which I can keep the rest of the columns, right? So let us start with that. Let me go forward with my table, and now let us go forward with our calendar lookup table. Now in my calendar lookup table, I'm already having the start of year. Let us just right click. We can create this create hierarchy, and we are going to name it as date hierarchy, right? So you can rename it from here itself as date hierarchy. All right, we are done with that. We're done with our first key objective. Let us move forward with the second key objective, and that is to right click or drag to add fields until your hierarchy contains these specific columns, right? So all of these columns are exhibiting the similar kind of property, that is with respect to a date. So we have already added the year. Now we will be getting started with month, week, and date, right? So now into our date hierarchy itself, I will be adding, or let us go forward with adding our month first of all. So now my month, I'm going to add it into my date hierarchy. Then we have to add our week, start of week. So into our date hierarchy, we can see that we have added the start of year, start of month, start of week, and then we can add the date as well. Date, now this date can be represented inside this at the lowest level of our hierarchy, and that is completely fine, right? So we can add it, we can add to our hierarchy, to our date hierarchy, and you can see at the end of our hierarchy, we are able to see the date, right? So we are done with creating the date hierarchy. We are done with our second key objective as well. Now let us move forward with the final key objective, and that is to create a new hierarchy. That is to add the new hierarchy to our matrix visual so that we can see that how a tree is being created, right? Let us get back into our report view. Now, at the previous videos, we were discussing about that how we can go forward with the territory hierarchy, right? You have to do the same thing over here. Add data in your rows. Let us go forward with the calendar lookup. You are going to have a hierarchy over here. Drag it and drop it. Or you can simply click it. On clicking over here, you'll get to see that what exactly is my start of year at the top level. If I'm going down, if I'm going to drill down, making the use of this drill down option, you will get to see the start of month as well, right? And then after you are looking forward to the start of month, then you can go forward with the other option as well. That is the start of week. And then at the lowest level of a hierarchy, you'll get to see the date, right? So with respect to date, you can see that with respect to each and every single date, we are not exactly getting the returns, right? We are still getting the total number of returns as 1,828. But definitely on each and every single date, you won't be getting the returns, right? That is another insight. But what exactly we are focusing upon at this point is to simply go forward with this hierarchy, how exactly the data is being represented here. Let us drill up. Let us get back into our original view, that is the start of year. And if you want to have a kind of tree kind of architecture over here, click over here. You'll get to see that how your year is getting decomposed into the months, and then how your month is getting decomposed into the weeks, and then your week is getting decomposed into the date itself, right? So this is again something you can get via clicking on this option, a tree kind of architecture, or you can simply go forward with clicking on this plus option. And again, you will be able to see the complete tree kind of architecture, right? So that would be all in this assignment. And now we are officially done with our complete section. So the section which was regarding the model data modeling aspect. So we are completely done with that. And now from the next video onwards, we are going to start with our new section, and that will be regarding DAX. So DAX will be helping you out to add some new columns or some new important measurement that you can simply add in your data, in your this visual itself, so that you will be able to come up with some more important insights to make some important decisions in you know to expand your business, right? So that is something we are going to discuss in the next video itself. So let us meet in the next video with our new section that will, and that is regarding the tags. So thank you guys.